certified sex therapist and educator, and his brother Larry Siegel is a clinical sexologist and certified sexuality educator. The Siegel brothers are here to answer all your questions about sex and sexuality that you are unsure of, who to ask, including questions you didn't even know you had. They will also welcome guests around the globe to talk about a wide variety of topics and issues within the fascinating world of sexuality. Thank you for joining us and welcome to Sex Talk.
Good evening and welcome to Sex Talk with the Siegel Brothers. My name is Ricky Siegel. I'm a certified sex therapist.
And I'm Larry Siegel, a clinical sexologist and certified sexuality educator. I scared myself.
It's very, Larry the Lion. It's very echoey.
Yes.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us. We are on the radio in South Florida on 95.3 FM and 1470 AM.
And 96.3 FM and 740 AM.
There you go. And we're live on Facebook if you're joining us there.
Hello.
Howdy. Thank you for joining us. Please hit the like and share button liberally.
Yes, indeed. And if you would like to give us a call tonight, either have a question of any kind or something to add to the discussion, give us a call. The number is 888-565-1470.
All right.
I'd say, how's it going this
news?
week? But yeah, I don't think there's really anything going on this week.
No.
Right, but
Life as usual.
yes, absolutely. So
Where's my Lysol wipes?
yeah,
Who touched my mug?
that's right. Was this microphone disinfected?
I believe it was.
Yeah, I think so
and
too.
it will be again when we're done
that's right.
yakking
That's
into
right.
them.
So hopefully everybody, I would say, stay safe, but I would say please don't panic. You know, this is something new. We have to get used to it. We'll find our footing, and we will. You know, all of these talks about the most unprecedented epidemic we've ever seen, a little overinflated. We just haven't seen this variety of this type of virus that we have seen before, and we will get a handle on it. You know, the phrase flattening the curve. Right now we're seeing everything in the very end stage because we haven't seen it before. Things will settle down. They will calm down. You know, as we were talking before, when have we heard the last time people were talking about H1N1 or swine flu or the other SARS or MERS or any of the other coronaviruses we have seen? We will get a handle on it. It's just right now getting on top of it. So I hope everybody's just patient, stay calm. I love the phrase I heard, I think about 2 weeks ago, that all of these precautions that people are taking, if they seem extreme and if they seem silly, good. That means they're going to work. When they seem really serious and it seems like we're really under the gun, that's too late. So this is the time. All right, so let's take these precautions now. We'll be safe later. And on the bright side, right, the more people are restricting their going out,
That's right.
right? Here's an opportunity. Stay home and have great sex.
There you go.
So, yeah, see,
Or
there's
were you
a
kidding around
silver
before,
lining.
or is it true about Pornhub?
Oh, yeah, I'd heard, I think
Offering
yesterday or the day
free
before, that
subscriptions?
the people in Italy that are pretty much on lockdown, Pornhub, again, being the charitable organization that they are, is offering free premium services to people in Italy.
Oh.
Staying home.
Even for
Occupy
the
your
unpartnered.
time. That's right, especially for the unpartnered.
Yes, or the self-partnered.
Yes, I like that, the
I
self-partner.
forgot that actress's name.
Which one?
The one who...
Annie Sprinkle?
No. It's a young actress who was tired of the press asking her why she was single, and she came out as self-partnered or something like that.
Ah,
It was,
okay.
5 minutes ago.
Yeah, exactly. So it's
Yeah.
beyond the attention. Right? So here we are talking about sex.
It's likely not sexually transmitted.
That's-
So wash your hands really
exactly.
well, wear gloves if you want, cover up with a mask, and go right on ahead. And don't
That's
worry
exactly
about
right.
catching coronavirus from sexual contact.
That's right. Now, again, as we talk, there are maybe some exceptions to that. Right?
No,
But we
let's
don't
not
have to go
talk any
into those.
further.
Okay.
The talk in the car on the way down here to do the show should never be on the air.
Oh,
Yeah.
but sometimes it's so rich
Sure.
in what we can offer there.
Sometimes sex talk is just not appropriate for radio.
Yeah, this is true. This is true.
Facebook,
But,
sure.
but again, that is a good point. You know, this is primarily, it seems, respiratory, which also means droplets, meaning through our hands, putting them in our mouth and nose. It's not a sexually transmitted infection, so that's not something people should be afraid of, especially if you're at home or you're with somebody or want to be with somebody.
I'm surprised that is
quarantine
the
together.
newest excuse that everybody in the country should just be calling in sick and saying, I'm sorry, I have to self-quarantine and have a vacation,
I don't know, but you know what? It's
a
working.
staycation.
It's working. It's kind of hard to argue with.
Yeah.
So again, make use of the time. Right? So speaking of making use of the time, right, what is there to talk about other than?
Well, there's always time for sex talk, right? And you had shared this very interesting new study, though not really earth-shattering, nothing real new here. It just kind of confirms probably what most people know intuitively.
But I
But this,
think that-
this
but-
group at Kansas State University,
Right, and what I do like about it is, and you're absolutely right, that it really isn't a surprise. It really should be just validating things. But to some people, I think it's kind of not what they're expecting. The rhetoric, the rhetorical way of thinking about millennials and students and things like that.
okay, yeah. So they basically surveyed university students and adults not in university to see if they had similar or different expectations and experiences of sex.
Mm-hmm.
And all the respondents, 800, 400 in each group, between 18 and 25, about half reported being in an exclusive romantic relationship, and asked about their experiences and strategies for seeking or avoiding sex and expectations and fears. Right? So in a nutshell, no one should be surprised that men reported a greater emphasis on frequency over quality, and women just the opposite.
Absolutely, and
Go figure.
I found that really interesting because here we are, 2020, and again we ascribe this notion of being so sexually hip and evolved and so beyond where we're used to be, especially among students, and we have the same old stereotypic beliefs and values when it comes to sex and sexuality.
Yeah. And there's still this gender split, that there's still this old pizza idea for too many guys,
Right.
That bad pizza is better than no pizza at all.
Yeah, exactly.
So any sexual encounter is a plus. The definitions of bad sex, that's really disturbing when you see the gender split, where guys usually define bad sex as a less than enthusiastic partner, and women describe good sex as not being painful.
Right.
Like, oh, God, that,
Now,
you know why
again-
people aren't just horrified at that.
If I may point out again, this is 2020 that we're still having this kind of
Yeah,
conversation, and we're
right.
still seeing this
Well,
as
if-
a way sex is being defined.
Talk about a sign of the times. If nothing changes, nothing changes, right? And how long have we been moaning on this show that the same sex ed problems, a lot of the same people we've known for 30 years now, not that, people doing a bang-up job where they can, when we're
Right,
in
in
such
small
a
pockets.
sex-phobic country, and sex-phobic policies and pleasure-phobic sex education, then it is just pockets, just people. I mean, we could probably list a dozen, and that might be it. of
Right.
The brilliant sexuality educators who are, digging it out year after year. And the same old things, they're going through permission and advisory boards in schools
Right.
and political debates and what about this side and what about that side. How can I defy anybody to tell me an opposing view to healthy sexuality? Who is out there saying,
Well-
we don't have enough unhealthy sexuality, damn it?
Well, and I think that is kind of part of the rub, isn't it? Right? But I don't know if people would set it up in that way, that it's either healthy sexuality or versus unhealthy sexuality. But when we look at the education debate, oftentimes it comes down to medically accurate, truthful information versus an arbitrary, bizarrely moralistic opinion.
Do you remember the last time I presented a proposal to the Palm Beach County School District in 1997? It was a middle school program
Yep.
for date rape prevention for boys.
Right.
And you have to announce your intention to present to the board, so they can, like contractor bids, right? They can get another program to propose another similar program, so they can choose between the two.
Mm-hmm.
And the other proposal was a guy from Children's Aid Society, AID, not AIDS.
Right.
And he talked, of course, after you, I wanted to hear his program. I let him go first. And the first words out of his mouth to the school board, to the school district
Yeah,
board,
I remember that.
were, "This is not a sexuality issue. This is a safety issue."
Yeah.
And he went on this hysterical rant about this program of announcements in the high schools during morning announcements in homeroom, making sure the students know rape crisis hotline numbers and who to call when you're raped. I was like, I knew it was a done deal already, right? We'd seen that movie enough times. So I took my turn and said, maybe it's just me, which is maybe not the best way to start that kind of proposal. So maybe it's just me, but this is entirely a sexuality issue. And with all due respect to the good gentleman, I don't want programs teaching girls who to call when they're raped. Why aren't we in the middle schools teaching boys not to rape in the first place?
Right.
Well, guess whose program was approved for the
Well, sure.
for the school district?
And
Not
again,
mine.
There's a
So,
process.
but again, is there an anti-date rape argument?
I mean, by default,
How could you oppose a program to prevent date rape?
I know it's ridiculous, but again, it's
Because
part
it was
of
me
this.
and it was Planned
Well, it was
Parenthood.
Planned Parenthood
That's-
and you and your
That
cookies
was the stigma.
and-
Oh, those Planned Parenthood
That's right.
cookies.
That's right.
Yeah, we put birth control pills in them, lady.
But so much of it is, and it's more of the failure that we have continued. If and when anything gets done, whatever little it ends up being is always reactive. We're
course.
not ever proactive when it comes to sexual health. Remember how, again, talk about heads exploding and railing against the stupidity
I think
of
I
it.
know where you're going.
Right? With they started in with the safe harbor. These
Oh,
places
the don't
for
dump your baby laws.
yeah, for
Oh, my
especially
God.
Women 18 and under,
What
and
a
even for some
fiasco.
18 and over.
The
that-
safe place signs.
yeah,
right.
exactly, the safe
Firehouses.
harbor, right?
Yeah. Don't
firehouses,
throw your baby in the
schools.
dumpster or the canal. Bring it to the firehouse, and we won't ask
Right,
any
exactly.
questions.
And you
like
can
the
do it,
old
drop off your baby.
The old orphanage with the round window. You put the baby in and spin it, and the nuns take it on the other side.
Right, exactly. It's insane. Why is it? And schools were more than willing to post announcements and put up posters where you can basically dump your baby. You talk about hiding pregnancy and dumping your baby. That's okay. But the same people that will allow that will refuse to allow anybody to come in and talk about how to prevent an unintended pregnancy. Talk about how to be safe. So how come birth control is no good, but where and how to dump your baby is perfectly fine?
Well, remember, who was our governor in those days?
In
It
those
was
days, those
Jim.
were that was
It was
the
Jim.
wonderful Bush brother, yeah.
Yeah, who I stopped calling the smarter Bush brother after the 2016
Right.
campaign.
Right. The same person that knowingly and admitted how aware he was of the data and the research on the effectiveness of comprehensive sexuality education,
But wasn't
and
gonna
the
back it.
ineffectiveness of abstinence only, and still said, "But I am a Catholic, so that's how I'm going to vote."
Yeah. And he only converted because of his wife.
Right.
Because they're old school, waspy Protestants, the Bushes, right?
Right.
Just like George thought he was a cowboy
Right.
living in Texas.
And I
They're
get
New
having
Englanders.
faith. I really do. I get people that have faith, but it doesn't trump fact.
And if you're the governor, you don't govern according to your faith.
Right.
you govern according to the laws of your state.
Right. And what is in
you
the best
put your
interest of
personal-
all your
It's the same thing.
constituents.
Remember that nonsense with the pharmacists pocketing Plan B scripts?
Yeah.
Saying, "Oh, I don't have it in stock," or "I'll call you when it comes in," and
Or how about
waiting
tearing
4
up prescriptions?
days. One pharmacist tore it up.
Yeah.
Right. Which
Yeah.
is basically countermanding a doctor's
That's
order.
exactly
and
right. And I was
practicing medicine
very
without a license.
glad that that's what the
Yeah.
AMA ended up saying. That
Yeah.
any pharmacist that refuses to fill a prescription is countermanding a doctor order, and they will be sued for practicing medicine without a license.
There was a girl right here in Broward County that prompted all of that, who gave birth in the bathroom of her house next to the living room where her entire family was watching television, put the baby in a backpack, walked out of the house, threw it in the canal, saw that it didn't sink, went and got a big pole and fished it out and put stones in it and threw it back in.
Right.
And everybody was horrified. Oh my God, this murderer, this evil child. No, this was a freaked out kid trying to make a problem go away.
Right.
That's it.
Right.
And clearly, I mean, how do you hide a pregnancy? There's some things are easier to hide than others, but you have to have a pretty distant relationship with your kid to go 9 months and not notice that they're pregnant.
And you know, I was talking with, in fact, a student, an older student of mine, just about maybe 2-3 weeks ago, kind of talking about that. I was in one of the medical schools, and I actually had this woman say, well, you know, that kind of happened to me.
Wow.
That she was in her 8th month before she even realized she was pregnant. She's
Well,
also a
yeah,
very
sure.
big woman.
Yes, that's what I was going to say.
Right?
That's not uncommon in obese women.
Right. So, you know, but I think if we're putting that pressure, that's, you know, another one of those things too, that again, with the crazy laws that restrict, first of all, access to abortion and also access to contraception, you know, all of this stuff, how, a girl is not, a 14-year-old girl, a 13-year-old girl, a 15-year-old girl is not mature enough to make a decision about birth control, or she's not mature enough to make a decision about having an abortion or terminating a
Or how
pregnancy.
about
But by
swallowing a pill?
default, swallowing a
She's
pill.
not mature enough to swallow a
Right,
pill.
but she's not mature enough to make the decision to terminate a pregnancy, which means by default she's mature enough to have a child,
to be forced to
And be a
into
parent?
motherhood.
right?
Yeah.
On what planet does that make sense?
This one. Apparently,
I challenge
way
anybody
too
to tell
many
me that
people
makes sense.
in positions of power. Yeah, of course, because like you said before, everything is reactive. So prevention doesn't warrant. I mean, even just it's stupidity to compare the cost of a pack of birth control pills to the cost of a poor uninsured kid having a baby
Yeah.
in a maternity ward for a week. Like, the most conservative people should be in the front of the line in
Right.
encouraging the use of birth control.
Right.
The most anti-choice or anti-abortion people should be front of the line.
I was gonna say,
in
they should be
advocating
on
for
our
birth
side.
control. Absolutely.
They should be on our
Birth control
side.
prevents unwanted pregnancies.
Yes.
Not talking fetuses on billboards on the turnpike.
And not
or
making-
trucks
and not
driving around
making-
with dismembered fetuses.
And not making abortion illegal.
Ah,
You know, again, conservatives, speaking to you, Republicans, speaking directly to you.
Yeah, like they're all
Just
listening.
like trickle-down economics does not work. It has been proven beyond a shadow of a doubt. It does not work. Stop thinking giving tax cuts to wealthy people will make money or save money for everybody else. It isn't true, and it is not true. It is just as false that if you make abortion illegal, women won't have them. All you're doing is endangering the lives of women and girls. Stop it. The only way, if you really do want to do something, if you really are opposed to abortion, then let's work smart. Let's do what we need to do to not make them illegal, but to make them unnecessary. Let's
Absolutely.
improve information on contraception and birth control. Let's improve access to information and contraception. Let's use this stuff. Let's make it count so that your problem will go away. But just wanting it to go away and saying you're not allowed to do
Right.
a medical procedure is not going to do anything but go back to the times when most OB beds in hospitals were filled with women who were dying from self-induced abortions.
yeah.
And if I also like to remind people that before the end of the 1800s, going into the 1900s, even the Catholic Church did support abortion.
Yep. Yep.
All right,
It was
so-
actually
Hello.
the churches that followed doctors' leads.
That's right.
It was mostly physicians in the early days of like the AMA, right, that were trying to squeeze out the midwives and the women who'd been helping women give birth for millennia and trying to formalize medicine. And yeah, a lot of midwives also performed abortions in addition to delivering babies.
Right. And then the guys that were the
A
medical
lot of the
doctors.
witches. Remember those
That's
stories?
right. They were
about
burned
the,
as witches.
The Salem witch trials.
Absolutely.
History shows that some of those women were midwives who used all kinds of botanicals and
That's
herbs.
right. Herbalists and
hence
midwives.
The association of witches cooking up their brews.
That's
and
right.
Casting potions and spells.
And of course, let's also throw in, since it was a wonderfully misogynistic time, that a lot of women were also burned as witches just because they were orgasmic or just because they liked sex.
Yeah, couldn't admit that. Right?
Or if they didn't have to do anything, they didn't have to like anything, see anything, they just had to be attractive. How many of these women were basically burned as witches because guys were looking at them, their wives catching them in the market, looking at this
fault.
woman.
She
That's right.
put him
Hey,
under
not
her
my
spell.
fault. That's right. She cast a spell on me. Not my fault. Burn her.
I
You know,
put
a rich
spell on
history.
you. Now you're mine. Yeah.
Oh, when does it end? I mean, this is like bad comedy. I mean,
It's
it
always
really is.
been,
It's
right?
absurdist.
That's what we said. It's the outrage and the frustration and the absurdity that are most motivating. And we know plenty of sick, twisted people in this field, and that must be the key to lasting. When you're like the David against this Goliath of sexual ignorance and policy that supports it.
And unfortunately, it seems to be getting worse. We seem to be going the other way. We're not getting more evolved or more progressive. We're getting
not
more
enough-
regressive.
Trump does too many clownish things on a daily basis that this whole court and judges thing is like sneaking under the radar. Even
right.
the Kavanaugh thing, as front page as that was, it's still just one more
That's right.
conservative anti-choice voice on the bench, and it's only a matter of time
Yeah.
before it comes up again.
Right.
And the Supreme Court now, with a conservative majority, will vote to overturn Roe v. Wade, which most people think will just automatically make abortion illegal. No, it won't. It'll just revert back to a states' rights issue.
Exactly.
And then it'll
Right.
be like in those days.
Right.
Women will have to travel across 3-4 state lines.
Right. And what is it? Michigan is already there?
Well, yeah, Texas. There's one abortion provider in the entire state of Texas now.
There's none
because
in
of
Michigan
those
now.
stupid laws.
There's none in Michigan
They
now.
passed these laws, and anybody's ever been in a Planned Parenthood clinic, you know they tend to be small buildings with small hallways and counseling rooms where can barely fit a desk and 2 chairs. And they passed a law in Texas saying that if you have a women's clinic, the hallways have to be wide enough for 2 gurneys to pass by each other like a hospital.
Oh, good. They're hospital standards.
Yeah. Who builds? All it did was force the closing.
Right. It was a smoke screen. That's all.
They just forced
That's
the
all.
closing of all but one, I think.
Right.
Out
And
of
in
5.
and in Texas, I think there's one somewhere in West Texas.
Yeah.
400 miles basically from the nearest metropolitan area. And like I said, in Michigan, they now have none.
That's
They
pretty
have
scary.
they have pretty much
So women have to go out of state.
mandated with these ridiculous. They've restricted pretty much every abortion clinic now in Michigan. So
And
we're there.
This evil genius that comes up with these legal ways of pushing this agenda, right? Passing laws saying
Right.
doctors have to have admitting privileges at the local hospital.
Yeah, exactly.
Why?
Why?
God forbid something happens, a woman's not allowed in the emergency room unless her
Right.
physician has admitting privileges.
Right,
And
exactly.
where?
So again, the smoke screen behind all of this, and again, I will just put this out. People need to understand that this is not about protecting women. The nonsense that these people are trying to justify all of this with is that they're protecting women. They don't care about women. I'm sorry. They, as a matter of fact, not only do they not care about women, I don't think they like women very much.
Well, you could certainly. We got a good glimpse of it in the front half of Trump's term with the rise of the alt-right and the Bannonites and boy, talk about misogyny and hatred of women. These
Oh, yeah.
incels.
My.
That is a type. I don't care. That is definitely
Yeah.
a type, and politically as well. And they're not lefties for sure.
No, they're definitely not. And this, again, we've talked about this before. This extends out, not only this whole incel movement, that also extends out to the no-fap movement,
Of course.
which is
Absolutely.
also, part of the white
White.
nationalist movement.
They're white. They're religious. They're sex phobic. They're the people that think porn is a Jewish conspiracy to defoul the purity of the white race. These people are insane. And
Yeah.
They're making policy.
Right. And again, to be clear, this is not just a matter of opinion. This truly is insanity. This truly is delusional thinking.
Somebody said this morning that they heard somebody say facts are just another person's opinion.
No, facts
No,
are
you
facts
idiot.
by definition.
By definition, a fact is not an opinion.
Right. But that's where we are.
Yep.
That's where we are, and Fox has been wonderfully successful at creating that false equivalency
It's so
that now
scary.
allows people like Rush Limbaugh to have the same credibility as real intelligent people.
Getting the hand signals going. We got to
Oh,
wrap.
is that what it was? Oh, I thought
Yes.
those were just nasty gestures.
2-minute warning would have been nice. But thank you. We got to go. No
So-
music playing? We usually wait for the music. It's playing.
Oh, it is.
Okay, well, that's our
Can
time.
you hear the music?
Please join us. Thank you for joining us this evening.
Thank
and join
you.
us next Friday and every Friday for Sex Talk with the Siegel Brothers.
Stay safe, have a great week, and have good sex.
You've been listening to Sex Talk with the Siegel Brothers. Join us on WNN 1470 AM and 95.3 FM, or watch live streaming video at AMP2 TV Productions on Facebook, or look for the shows on YouTube. Thanks for tuning in, and we hope you'll join us again next week.
The opinions